The first one that we're going to be talking about tonight is what we're calling high rail modeling. And Dennis Brennan is the host for that. And Millhouse River Studios is our sponsor. So if we could run their video, Phil.
Millhouse River Studio builds model train working accessories that are made to last generations. Millhouse River products are built out of aluminum and have scale brass details that even the most demanding scale modeler will appreciate. Since our industry entry in 2009 with the introduction of our flagship turntable, Millhouse River has continued to add new, innovative products, like our scale transfer table, rotary coal dumper, flood coaling tower and, most recently, a working conveyor that transports coal from the dumper to the loader. All of Millhouse River Studio's stunningly realistic products are currently available in O scale. We are adding new scales on some products, including the upcoming release of an HO scale turntable featuring our aluminum construction and stunning brass details that is big enough to handle a big boy locomotive. When it comes to your layout, don't settle for less, get Millhouse River Studio.
And so now let me introduce Dennis Brennan, who is the host for this segment of our show for high rail modeling.
Hi, guys. Glad to be here. And we will get started right away. We're going to talk about how I kit bashed a Plasticville suburban station. So let me share the screen here. Right. All right, here we go. This, I'm sure a lot of you recognize it from when you were kids. Simple 4-wall snap together Plasticville kit. Everybody hear me all right?
You're not sharing yet.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
There you go.
Sorry. Everybody recognizes this building, I'm sure. If you were a kid and you had Lionel trains, you probably had one of these Plasticville stations. They've been around forever. And I thought, years ago, I wrote an article for Classic Toy Trains, and I thought I'd just try to simply paint a Plasticville kit and see what would happen. Well, one thing led to another, and I ended up with this model. Doesn't look anything like where it started out. And so one of the first things that I thought about was paint. But when I went to paint it, I was thinking about painting it. I looked at the stucco on the original wall. We go back here. It was pretty pronounced for my taste. So what I did was I used some sheetrock all-purpose joint compound, and I just smeared a little bit along this stucco with my finger. I think I wet it and I smeared it and I let it dry real well. And then this is what you end up with over here. And it still looks like, kind of looks like stucco. It's not perfect. It wasn't supposed to be. And so then I turned my attention to the dock. And I was originally going to start scraping the dock, the plastic, to do wood grain. And then I thought, wait a minute, why don't I just cover the dock with wood? Use it as a base for the wood. And that one decision is what really changed a lot of things, because once I did that, then it changed the whole look of everything, and I knew I was onto something. And so I was just making it up as I went along. And I used, let's see, what did I use? I used scale lumber for the deck. And the deck was, what did I use on that? I think I just used 1/16 by 1/4 strip board for the deck boards and scale 1/8 for the horizontal boards. And I just dyed those with walnut, Minwax American walnut water-based stain. And I wiped them with a rag. And did it randomly. And that's all there was to that. So then I turned my attention to the windows. So originally I painted the windows, but I looked at those windows and I said, that's ugly. That's not going to work. So I ended up using Grant Line windows. And it was a double hung window. But the problem with the window is that you don't have frames on a stucco wall. See, there wouldn't be a frame. So what I did is I inserted the window from the back side, and since it was a regular window, I turned it upside down so that the sash would be in the right position, because you're going to raise it up from the bottom, so it had to be backwards. So I just turned it around, and the only other thing I had to do was, so I had to cut out the window, and that was easy enough to do. And just used the back edge of an X-Acto blade and traced around the window to get a groove. And then I just kept scraping away. And it was easy enough to do. You could then turn the blade over and start cutting through it. But I found that just scraping away with the back of the blade until it gets really thin, and then you can just cut it and smooth it out. And then I had to also where is it? Where did I go? Here we go. I had to change the doors. And the doors, there was 2 double doors like this. This was a double, they used this as a freight door. And I looked at that, they were put together, and I thought, why don't I just cut those in half and cut out these panes? And I came up with these doors, more like the kind of an office door. And then I took the 2 doors, the single doors that they had for, pedestrians, and I combined them and I made a freight door out of it. And so that worked out really well. And so then it's joining the sides together. Now, with any kit, I don't care whether it's a Plasticville or not, one of the things that you should do is make sure that the sides are going to fit well. And I just cut off those nubs, and I sanded them, and I just made sure I had a really nice tight fit, and
Well,
then I braced it. So
hello.
let's see what else. Okay, and then I modified the station had 2 ramps, and I cut one of them off and made it so that a truck could back up into here. So one, you have a ramp on the other side that you can actually wheel a hand truck up or wheel anything onto the platform. And then I just use this as a truck dock with a bumper. Very simple. And then the roof was the other issue. I thought about cutting down the original roof, but that roof, it just didn't work for me. And I thought, what can I do? So I went into my kit stash and I found a Corber shanty, and it had a roof, and that's it right there. It had a roof for the shanty, and I thought that, that looks real close. And I put it on top of the building, and bam, it worked. It worked like a champ. I made the chimney out of some styrene. And then I wanted to give another look for the dock, give it a little more character. So I eliminated a couple boards and I used some little screen here because apparently the boards got lost or kicked in or whatever. And so they just tacked up some screen on there. I guess to keep varmints out, I don't know, but it's there. And so there you have it. A Plasticville. Oh, the other thing is I added drain pipes to the guttering here. And that was just, I think I used 16 gauge wire for that. And eye pens that I drilled little holes and put them in there and painted them green. And there you go. And I glazed the windows with evergreen clear styrene. And so that's how you can take a kit like this and turn it into something like this. And I'd put that up against any kit. With that said, I will turn it back to Jim, or also we will see if we have any questions. Glad to answer them. No questions?
One thing, Dennis, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I've been modeling for a long time, and I go through number 11 X-Acto blades all the time.
Yeah.
I have never thought about turning it over and making the groove like you just showed. And that is a great idea and really a simple way of dealing with the problem.
Well, thank you. I discovered that because I was having, you know what it is when you try to cut something with that blade, it can wander. That first cut can go all over the place. Yeah. So I thought, what if I make a groove first? Perfect. And especially if you're going to saw something, you get a groove going and you just keep going. And once you get the groove going, now you've got a place where you can start sawing. And I use those little tiny saws, that work in an X-Acto blade. Works perfectly for this.
I love it. I think it's a great idea. Thank you so much for doing this tonight.